right, folks. Round number 2 of the John Gomez Show underway. Yours truly, John Gomez, with you. As you know, we kick it off every single day, Monday through Friday, noon to 2, lunch with Gomez on 103.9 LI News Radio. You can follow us wherever you go, wherever you are. At linewsradio.com, just click on the Listen Live link. And if you care to make comments or share your opinion, because it does count, write this number down, 631-451-1039 to hop on board, 451-1039. And you can always email me, Gomez, Gomez, at linewsradio.com. Joining us on the LI News Newsmaker line is New York State Senator Lee Zeldin. Lee, welcome aboard. How are you?
John, how are you?
For a young middle-aged American living in the great state of New York, I'm doing pretty darn good. I appreciate you asking.
Yes, sir.
Listen, there's been a lot of stuff in the news regarding veterans. There's been a lot of stuff in the news. I saw quite a few press releases about, and this was handled on national media, how the DCCC was calling you a coward, basically. And here you are. You know, you're a veteran. You're serving our. You're at this moment. You're still active, aren't you?
Still in the still active in the Army Reserves. Currently serve with the rank of major, and helps keep you grounded. You know, when you wear one suit as a state senator during the week, and on the weekends, I'm outranked with a whole lot of other brass. So I'm calling a whole lot of other people sir and ma'am, and it keeps you in check. It keeps you grounded.
Hey,
my wife does that as well, but the military does their part.
Yeah, that's right. Now, let me ask you something, Senator Zeldin. Did you? What's the whole scandal going on? I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on as far as the VA hospitals. Can you give us some take on that?
Well, so a few weeks ago, it came out that there was a secret wait list with the VA hospital in Phoenix, where dozens of veterans literally died while waiting on this secret list. There was a list that the VA hospital was using for accountability purposes, but there was this whole other secret list that no one knew anything about. And the VA has been under the leadership of one director now for several years, Eric Shinseki, who is someone who has served in our military, obtained the rank of general, very well-respected general. There are certain reforms that are badly needed at the VA. One, obviously, with regards to the culture and the leadership. When you have hospitals with secret wait lists and veterans not getting the standard of care that they deserve and expect, that's one thing. You also have hundreds of thousands of claims waiting to get processed because the VA still hasn't really made their changeover from paper to computers, technology. So that's an important thing to focus on, as well as mental health needs. We have many veterans from past wars who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury. A lot of returning Iraq, Afghanistan vets now suffering from PTSD and TBI. And I really strongly believe that the VA can be doing more on mental health needs as well. So on many different fronts, I have been compelled to reach the conclusion that we need to change the leadership at the top. That's where the buck needs to stop, and it's time to have a new head of the VA, someone who will bring more accountability, have the right people around him, giving him advice, and we can update our technology to the 21st century.
You know, Senator Zeldin, it appears to me over time, and certainly during the Obama administration in the second term, and it's certainly towards the end of his first term, these scandals or the incompetency or whatever you want to call it, scandal is a better term, where it be exposed, like the IRS scandal, the Benghazi tragedy. You know, these things would come to light, President Obama would take to the microphone, take to the stage. He'll have a press conference, and once it's exposed, he's always, we're going to get to the bottom of this. This should not happen. It cannot happen. I am going to see who's responsible for this. It's amazing how he's able to completely dodge responsibility for the scandal itself, but he kind of joins with the frustration of the American people and the disappointment of the American people. He kind of joins with that. It's like he's constantly on a campaign mode. He
is all politics all the time. There's no doubt. I mean, there are people in office who believe that there's a time for government and a time for politics. Yeah, Chicago style. He is always and the one thing to your point, John, which is a very important, great point, is that he'll sound off after something comes to light, but he won't answer the question that we want answered. And there was a great video from a week or two ago. Trey Gowdy, who, as you know, is appointed to chair this select committee to investigate what happened in Benghazi. And he spent 3 minutes at a press conference where he was actually posing questions to the media. And obviously wasn't getting any answers because no one knows the answers, and that was his point.
Right.
That, people say, well, the Democrats want to say we've already investigated this. But the most important questions are still unanswered.
Yeah.
Why is it that a crowd of terrorists walk to the front door of the embassy and the lax security just gets their pickups and drive away, where these people just walk into the embassy? Why is it that requests and obvious needs for higher security for Ambassador Stevens were denied?
Yeah.
Here you have an ambassador who was a very proactive ambassador who liked to get out of the embassy and actually travel into dangerous areas. He was very willing to expose himself in order to accomplish the mission. If there was anyone of any of our ambassadors anywhere, I mean, this is the perfect example for someone who deserves the most amount of security, not the amount of security where people just get in their pickups and drive away and you walk in the front door.
It's incredible. It seems as though, and it's a sad commentary, just as far as the public is concerned, in my humble opinion, is they allow this to happen, and with the Democrats being able to just drag it on and on with no conclusion, no admitting of fault or no admission whatsoever, and they drag it on and on and on to the point where all of a sudden people say, that was so long ago. Why are we rehashing this stuff? Why are we going over it again? I remember as far as his commentary, Obama's commentary regarding the IRS scandal. Oh, it's just a little tiny thing. It's not a big deal. It's not rogue employees. This sort of thing.
And I'm sure that if all of the facts came to light, using the IRS as another example, I'm convinced that a lot of this stuff goes into the White House.
Yeah.
There's no way that that this president has clean hands on Benghazi, that he has clean hands with regards to the IRS.
Yeah.
The American public want to know who's responsible.
Well, they do. I could swear I've read some articles and some commentaries where Obama is considered somewhat of a control freak, if you will. Is that true? I don't know if you've heard that. That he likes to have his hands in all the pots and so forth.
Yeah, I believe it. I think that the type of personality that gets elected president, I would imagine that there's some element there, regardless of what party they are, that they want to know when big things like this are going down. Even if after the fact, that they're learning about something and they're upset why they didn't know about it earlier.
Exactly.
I'm sure that this president is armed with all of the answers that we're looking for.
Well, it brings to light the to switch topics, to bring it into the state arena. Andrew Cuomo, I think, has the same type of personality and runs the same type of office, quite frankly.
Well, that I can speak to firsthand. Yeah. This governor is he has his hands in on everything.
Everything. He is certainly a control freak. I mean, the Moreland Commission, but they talk a big game. It's like, I'm going to weed out corruption. And I'm not saying he started the corruption. I'm not saying his father even started corruption. In fact, there's a lot of evidence out there that George Pataki, his administration, and I've read on this. In fact, George Marlin has a book out that's incredible. In fact, I asked him to come on. He'll be on next week to talk about the Pataki years and how the scandalous activity going on in Albany just catapulted during the Pataki administration. But the point I'm getting at is that here Governor Cuomo waves the flag. I'm going to weed out corruption with the Moreland Commission and unilaterally dismantles it. Then he talks about, as Democrats do, they talk about how, women should, equality for women. Is there one female in his, I don't even know, are there any female appointees that Andrew Cuomo has?
Well, I mean, he has some. I mean, New York State has obviously a...
I apologize. In his administration.
Yeah, I mean, there's one, for example, there's a woman, Rohan Desquito, who's in charge of Office of General Services. She's actually one of the names being mentioned as a
lieutenant governor,
potential lieutenant governor candidate. She's the former assemblywoman. But he has, the governor has an interesting challenge in picking a lieutenant governor now, because with Rob Astorino picking a black sheriff from upstate, it would be difficult for the governor to pick another white guy from downstate.
Yeah.
You already have, between the governor, the comptroller, and the attorney general, there isn't any diversity on the ticket. And I'm not saying that that there's a requirement that there has to be diversity geographically or with other demographics.
Right.
But it's just an interesting pick by Rob Astorino. I think it was a good one.
Yeah, Christopher Moss. He comes from a humble background. I've read some stuff about him, heard some stuff about him. Comes from a hardworking family, middle class. I think his parents owned a restaurant, and he at a young age was helping out at the restaurant. 16-hour days was not unusual for him or his parents. So he knows what it means. Work ethic, it means something to him. And I remember hearing a few comments where he said, this isn't necessarily, Republican, Democrat. I look at it as an effort by all New Yorkers to get the ship back in order. And Rob Astorino, he has a lot of faith in Rob Astorino, actually. So, it's going to be an interesting run. It's going to be an interesting race as far as seeing how things unfold. But wouldn't that be a great thing if Rob Astorino pulls it out?
And I have, even though there might be a poll that gets done that shows Rob is down by 40 points or he's down by 30 points.
Yeah.
I remember right after the primary in 2010, the Republican primary, Carl Palladino won, that there was maybe it was a Siena College poll. I remember who did it. Maybe it was Quinnipiac. But there was a poll done right after the primary that had Palladino down by 6 points. Now, I don't know if that poll was accurate or not. It doesn't really matter. The point is, once that poll came out, a lot of people started believing on both sides that maybe this is real. Rob doesn't have to take the lead in the poll
right
to make people believe. He instead of being down 40 or 30, he has to be down 25, then 20, then 15. And it's all about momentum. And if he's running an amazing campaign, he's the fighter. I liked Rob before the campaign started, but watching the way he and his team they're out there with their sleeves rolled up, traveling the state, getting their message out. I think it's going to be an exciting 2014. I'm excited about the future of the Republican Party with some great candidates coming up through the ranks on our statewide ticket and running in congressional races and state legislative races. So it's just nice to see our party going in the right direction.
Let me ask you this, Senator Zeldin, as far as the Republican, they say it's shared, and some people are kind of in the fog about that the Republicans really don't have a majority in the Senate, although now even Klein is up against in a primary against is it Oliver Coppell, I think, who's got very good name recognition in the city. It's that left, the far left of the Democrat base that's upset with Andrew Cuomo and upset with Klein and how he, they're saying that Klein allowed Skelos to basically walk all over him and control the Senate. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think so.
No?
I've seen them as a partnership. It's certainly a different balance in the Senate than it would be if there was a clear Republican majority.
Right.
It's certainly it's scary to think of what would happen to Long Island again if the Democrats from the city controlled the Senate. I've seen it in the fight over education, transportation, different issues where Shelley Silver from his assembly district in Lower Manhattan and a caucus that's dominated by basically within the 5 boroughs,
right,
just not caring
yeah.
about Suffolk County at all. So that balance is important. Having that strong Long Island Senate block is important. And, we'll see what happens in November. But I think that with some seats upstate, that the likelihood is that the Republicans will be going into 2015 with a clear outright majority in the Senate, and that will serve Long Island well.
Well, I hope so. I mean, just in today's news, Senator Zeldin, they talked about how the first hurdle has been cleared as far as medical marijuana being approved in the state of New York. What's your position on that?
Well, I would be voting against that legislation.
Good.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
We're watching states where we have legislators playing doctor. I respect that there are people who they support. I have some colleagues in Albany who support marijuana for recreational use.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm just not there with them on this particular issue. If it's a drug, if it's a medicine, then just like every other medicine,
put it in a pill.
Have it be studied by the FDA. Have it be regulated as part of the FDA process. Why is marijuana the only exception if it really is a drug? And I've had people come up to Albany and they're lobbying me on this.
Yeah.
At times where I'm wondering whether or not that person is high as they're lobbying me.
I wouldn't be surprised. One thing I've said, Senator Zeldin, is I'm kind of in a compromise situation with legislator Silmy. Listen, if there's some sort of helpful characteristics of marijuana, why don't we extract it and put it in a pill form and distribute it like a prescription, like we do other drugs?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are some great examples of people who are in a tremendous amount of pain that they live with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Permanently.
Yeah.
And I have so much sympathy and
so
compassion for those people who are struggling so much. The New York State Legislature is not the appropriate venue for deciding what's a drug and what's not, what's a medicine and what's not, before preempting the FDA weighing in at all.
That's a good point. Senator Zeldin, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the insight as to what's going on. And, hey, listen, looking forward to seeing you on Friday at 5. A big debate against the primary challenger, George Damos. So I'll see you at 5 on Friday. And we're all looking forward to that.
I am as well. Looking forward to it. I'll see you in a couple days.
All right, take care, my friend. New York State Senator Lee Zeldin on the John Gomez Show. Folks, we have a lot more coming up.